I think it is just now 3:30, so welcome everybody. I'm Louisa Higgins. I'm the Arts Administrator for Riverside County Office of Education, if we haven't met before. And some of you, even if we haven't met before, I recognize your names from other things that we've been doing. And of course, my assistant, Jessica, who is always on the call and helping us out with chat and different technical issues. I once did a webinar where my power went out right about 20 minutes in, and Jessica kept everything rolling until I got back. So she is invaluable. So we have a couple people back with us from yesterday. I think Carolina, Laura, Terry, might be missing somebody. So some of this, it'll be a little bit of a repeat. We'll have a different opening question today. So bear with us on that part as we work our way to the art activity. So just to set up the two artists that you're working with today, Katrina and Sarah, I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with them for a long period of time. And this particular webinar is a little bit different than some of the other strictly PD things that we do, in that it's more of a gift to teachers. It's all about you, and it's for you to come in with us and have a really positive hour. It's really just for you. And whether you take it further and move it into the classroom, we hope that you will. But even if you don't, that is not a prerequisite. It's not necessarily the only goal that we have today, but it really is all about you. And we'll talk briefly. We won't touch on social and emotional learning too much, but we will be exhibiting it. In our practice, we will be as a group. So we're in a virtual room together. This is very much participatory type of activity. Cameras on is optimal. And at some point, because I'll be calling on you or you'll be sharing something, even if you have it off, if you're willing to turn it on for those brief periods, that's super helpful. But you'll see this is really about collaboration, participation, and fun with a capital F. And we're also really debunking the idea that art is only for the talented. That comes up sometimes in the arts, that it's all about, your achievement level and how far you've gone with it. And we're really coming at it from an aspect of it's about all that it can do for you, what it is a vehicle for. So without further ado, and by the way, Lady Lead, they'll talk about it. Katrina and Sarah will talk about it as a program that we founded, I want to say 6 years ago in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
And that's where we came up with this concept. So it was really, I'll speak to it when we get a little further along, and Sarah will explain it. So that's why it says Lady Lead. This is not just for ladies if you're not a lady here today. So, but it is a program that we have developed for young women in the past. So take it away.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Sarah Scheidemann, and I'm joined here today with
Katrina Dipner.
And yeah, as Louisa said, we run a program called Lady Lead, and it is through Lady Lead that we are able to practice this social and emotional learning through arts and crafts. And by doing arts and crafts and creating a safe space for our students, we've been able to explore what social and emotional learning is. We've been able to find the benefits of it, and then also see how it could be beneficial to the schools and to teachers and just like your everyday lifestyle in general. So we're going to take you on a little journey. We have a couple phrases or concepts that we like to live by through Lady Lead, which I put on this main page here. I put no pressure art makes it accessible. That's one of the main, if you're going to take anything away, it's like these three concepts here. No pressure art makes it accessible, as Louisa said, to anyone on any level and with zero expectations of doing great and becoming a professional at it. It's more the use of it. And that's why we have crafting as therapy. We in this class, in this program, we make art just to make it, just to go through the process of it and not have any expectations or judgment really on the outcome. And that kind of leads us to the other part, which is ugly art for a positive mindset. When there's no pressure and you're crafting just to craft, sometimes you're just going to make something that comes out ugly. And that's like fine here. We kind of love it. We love really ugly stuff here. And, as you can see, this background, it's just like, this is just the lifestyle that we like to live, or everything's kind of a mess, but it all looks really beautiful together. And that's the kind of art that we like to encourage our students to make, that we encourage each other to make. Katrina and I are constantly laughing at like ugly stuff that we make, and we love it. And it makes art fun, accessible, and not intimidating. So with that little intro, we'll just go into our next slide here. So today, Katrina and I are going to introduce ourselves. We like, in the spirit of Lady Lead, what we like to do is, you know, we're focusing on art making, but really we're doing crafts. And I think the number one thing in crafting is actually community. And so what we really try to do is build a community through our crafts. So we like to go around in every one of our sessions and check in with every one of our students or teachers or anyone who's on Zoom with us. And we like to just see how they're doing. You know, in this one, we'll ask like, where are you guys from? How you doing? Something maybe weird or random, or you could say your astrological sign, just because I love astrology. So we'll go around, everyone could say like a little, you know, 5-second bit or something about yourself. And then we're gonna just tap in. Social and emotional learning might be something that you've heard before. So we're just going to kind of address it, and then we'll just go right into the craft activity. And as we're crafting, then we'll talk about how we access it through our own class, and then we'll go around and discuss it. So very, very, very quickly about myself. My name is Sarah Scheidemann. I grew up in the Coachella Valley. I graduated from UC Riverside with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in film and visual culture. And then I went on to found a nonprofit organization called the Coachella Valley Art Scene, which was a platform for emerging artists. And that led me down a very long path of doing interactive, large-scale craft installations at music festivals. And then somehow one turn into a next led me to Louisa. And I got a lot more interested later on in my career on specializing in these crafts and bringing them to youth and children, and working for Palm Springs Unified School District, producing the Lady Lead program. My personal self, obviously, I love arts and crafts supplies. I like going to thrift stores, dollar stores, wherever it's cheap and fun and colorful. That's where you can find me buying art supplies and incorporating those into my everyday practice with my students. So having a lot of fun exploring that colorful world. Yeah, and
Hello,
my co-host.
my name is Katrina Dibner. It's funny to see that I know someone on here. I went to high school with Chelsea, and so yeah, it's cool to see familiar faces. I was a Palm Springs School graduate. I went on to COD for studio art, and then I eventually made it to San Francisco, and I got my Bachelor's of Science in Interior Design. So now, many years gone by, I kind of got it out of my system to be in a nice big city. I came back to the desert, and I work for Michelle Boudreau Designs. It's an interior design company downtown, and it's been really fun. And through that, while I moved home, I got to meet Sarah through Louisa, and she had started this program. It was so much fun to be a part of it. I came in on 3 years, and it's been so exciting to help young women find outlets and common interests and more support groups, just to not have the cattiness in young classes and whatnot. So through and arts and crafts, we've really created social emotional learning that has been really fun. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And so we'd like to just go around like how we did yesterday, since Louisa can see everyone and I kind of can't.
Absolutely.
And
Why don't
we'll
we
just
do
names, or go ahead.
Instead of the fun fact, why don't we do one new skill you picked up during the pandemic? So one new thing you learned that you weren't doing before. So your name, where you're from, because we often have people from all over the county and beyond. And so I'll go ahead and call on you. Why don't we start, we'll pick on you, Sarah. Why don't we start with you as far as your one new skill, and then Katrina, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so again, my name is Sarah from the Coachella Valley, and maybe my new skill that I picked up on during quarantine is baking really well. I got really into baking desserts, which became a problem at one point, but we backtracked and exercised a lot. But yeah, I got much better at baking than ever before in my life. So that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Katrina, what about you?
My new skill that I've learned, I'm wearing them today, another pair of earrings that I've made. So I've been really into clay making. I've made like 1 million during quarantine. So I try to get use of them.
Okay, Carolina.
I'm drawing a blank. I totally went from doing to just chilling, and I loved it.
Maybe good at relaxing.
Yeah.
Maybe chilling is my new skill.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's valid. Sounds good. All right, Laura.
I'm Laura Wilhelm from Redding, California, for those of you who weren't here yesterday. Over our break, I guess, I learned a little bit more how to work with Procreate, and I painted a mural.
Oh.
Is Procreate a software?
Yeah, it's basically an app on your iPad.
Oh, neat. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
like Photoshop.
Okay. I'll look into that. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Nicole.
Hello, I'm Nicole Marquez Johnston from Los Angeles, California. Trying to think of something I learned during the lockdown. The only thing I could think of is I'm probably spending a little more time trying to do art online, like graphic design. So that's something I'm trying to learn more about.
More tech. Yeah.
Mhm.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Terry. Terry and then Kim.
I think she's on mute or
Oh, yeah.
not working.
Yeah, you're muted. Too.
Right, now you can actually hear me and not
Yeah.
read lips. Okay, so I'm Terry McFarland and I work at the Moreno Valley High School District. I actually live up in Phelan in the high desert. That's kind of near Wrightwood. And I teach elementary art, and I learned how to use a document camera. I went the first trimester without it. And then the second trimester, I got brave enough to try it. And now it quit a couple days last week, and the kids were going, when are you going to get that drawing thing back?
Now you can't live without it, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Kim and then Bridget.
I'm Kim Cash with Inyo County Office of Education. I live in Bishop, California. And something I learned in the last year, last week actually, I learned how to watercolor.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
While I was camping in Morro Bay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
You might have to dig one of those up to show us.
Nope.
No pressure. All right. So Bridget and then Chelsea.
I'm Bridget McCarthy. I live in La Quinta, California, and I'm currently student teaching, getting my credential in sculpture and art, certain visual arts. So I have spent this time writing a lot of papers and Zooming a lot and learning a lot about just teaching digitally and getting kids to be engaged. So it's.
But you learned at the hardest possible time, but welcome to the profession. It will only get better. Okay, Chelsea and then Eileen, please.
Okay, hi guys, I'm Chelsea Gilbert. I'm from Palm Springs and I work for Palm Springs High School. A new skill that I learned over break is creating videos for virtual performances for my dancers, and also installing household appliances like whole vanities and sinks and stuff. Updated some of our rooms here.
Home improvement. You teach dance, is that right, Chelsea?
Yes.
I thought so. Okay, glad to have you here.
Thank
All
you.
right, Eileen and then Tiffany.
Okay, I'm a speech and language pathologist with Palm Springs Unified, and we live in Palm Desert now for the past 6 years. And I have always had a craft bag. When I first came to the district, there were no materials at all. The cupboards were bare. So I knew until my husband sent me, we were living in New York, sent me my stuff. I went and, excuse me, my dogs. I went and gathered, I went to the dollar store, I went to Michael's, I gathered a crafts bag because I figured I could do therapy with my arts and crafts bag and library books for the first, few weeks. And I'm with you, Sarah. I baked my first babka ever. And
me too.
That turned out pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, a lot of work. It took 2 days. And Carolina, I'm like you too. I spent a lot of time initially last spring, just being quiet and enjoying slowing down. It really, it was terrible the way we had to slow down, but it felt really, really good to do that.
Thanks for sharing, Eileen. Okay, Tiffany and then Diane.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a teacher in Corona Norco Unified School District. I've been teaching middle school art I've been teaching middle school art in our district for, I think, 16 years. This is my 25th year teaching, and I taught elementary before teaching art. And I was going to say the same thing, that I would absolutely agree with Carolina, just in taking time to, just taking more time for myself, I guess, and more time for my own art. And that's been really big. Someone else mentioned like doing online classes or learning online. And I've just found so much joy in just like creating things for myself for a change, not just as a, to get it ready for school or to post on Instagram or whatever. Like I just took a total social media break and was just, just like so prolific, making so much stuff and trying so many new things. It's been really, really good.
That's awesome. And so important for arts teachers to continue, dancers need to dance and artists need to make art and so forth. And we give it all to the kids and that's great. But I think to keep our own fire burning is incredibly important for arts teachers. Okay, Diane, and then I believe it's Mr. Salas. I'm not sure how to pronounce your first name, so you'll have to help me out with that.
Unmute, and so I don't have to hang my head when we all do it in the classroom.
Right.
Okay, I'm Diane Trout, and I'm a functional life skills teacher at Desert Hot Springs High School. And I need this art class for me today. I start back tomorrow, and it's my acronym is ODG. Oh dear God. But we're gonna do
we're here for you.
Yeah. Oh boy, don't you know it? It's like, and how am I gonna do the students in class at the same time I'm doing? Yeah. It's like, it's okay. We'll figure it out. So anyway.
Glad to have you here, Diane.
Thank you.
My name is Aldo. I'm a teacher here in Manteca, California. I teach a second grade class. And one new skill I picked up over quarantine is cooking, specifically like burgers, basically comfort foods like spaghetti, that kind of foods. So yes, that's the skill I picked up, cooking.
Oh, good. We're glad to have you from Manteca.
Thank you.
And I think the last one is Rachel.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I teach AP Literature at Rancho Mirage High School. So I'm not an art teacher, but I do like to do art on the side. I've always been like kind of creative. But the new skill that I learned over quarantine, this is going to sound so dumb, but I finally learned how to do my own curly hair because I had been like straightening it for like years up until quarantine. And I like spent so many hours watching YouTube videos because I had no idea how to take care of it. And it is a science. So I think I've got it down, but it's definitely my skill that I've been working on.
That is not anything to take less of. I'm a cosmetologist and to work with your hair is important. You're putting too much time when you could just keep your curls. Proud of you for learning it.
Well, that's great. Thank you, everybody, for sharing out with us. It gives us a good sense of who's here. And like I said, I'm so delighted to have a student teacher with us today. And also people who don't teach arts for a living. Like Rachel, you might find that this is something you could combine with literature or have as an assessment or just, spark up your, there's a lot of learning through and with the arts that can happen. So anyway, okay, so we're going to move through the social emotional really quickly and get on to the art making.
So yeah, so we, as before we get started with this, we thought we'd just kind of touch upon what it is and what is the baseline for what we're doing. I think realizing that we were doing social and emotional work was part of the process through Lady Lead. We've been doing this program for 5 years. I'm not sure how long this term has been around, but when Louisa approached me and said this falls along the lines of social and emotional learning, that's when we came to realize and have more intention about what we were doing. We weren't just crafting to craft, we were realizing that this was like impactful for the students, not just on an artistic level and fun, kid level, but it was actually something that they're going to take home and connect with other students with. They're going to connect with us as teachers, connect with their school, connect with their work, and be more involved and engaged in school because we were doing these kind of programs. So, just to kind of touch upon it, I'm just going to pick up a couple key words, which is like through social and emotional learning, it's a process of developing, self-awareness, self-control, engagement, and relationships. And I like to kind of think of it more as like a holistic curriculum for students to be engaged with. Especially Katrina and I were talking about this before class today, and we were saying, as kids are kind of going back in to the classroom, it's like, how do you engage them and kind of ease them back into this after everything that everyone's been through and still going through? So, just being able to kind of start up a conversation about where they're at emotionally through crafting or whatever it is, I think is really important. And we've seen very positive effects from that. Katrina, if you want to.
Yeah, so for our girls, we have definitely created, I feel, they're growing humans, right? To really go into the world and kind of have compassion for people. It gives them like a different conversation instead of being in a classroom and kind of having the pressures of answering the question correctly, being judged if you stutter on a page or whatever. I know I felt that when I was a young kid. So to relate on a crafting level and maybe make ugly art together, this helped them like kind of form a community. So we touch on all these things. It helps them problem solve and kind of help each other. If someone's feeling down and doesn't want to do the craft, give them empathy. We talk and kind of we'll discuss our art today as well. And you kind of find deeper meanings to why people represent certain things in their art, right? And then it's totally engaging for our children. I think it creates a healthy, well-rounded classroom because now they're ready to go learn and kind of sit there and focus because they got their energy out or their creativity out or just a stress reliever from, being in a full school system.
Yeah.
Right.
Was there a comment?
No, that was just me. I just said great.
Okay.
I would just like to say one thing.
They were out a little while ago.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say something that when I first came here in the elementary school level, and I was doing, the arts and crafts with the kids, they were starving for the art.
Yeah.
Because there really wasn't any, and they really enjoyed it and really did great.
Yeah. It's really beautiful to see a lot of the students that Katrina and I started out with even 3 years ago. They were like struggling in their normal classes and they would come into ours and, we didn't know any of their other problems in the other classrooms, but in ours, they were like these fantastic art students, like super engaging, involved. They became leaders. And I think a lot of students just need something to like emotionally connect to or, have confidence in, at the very least, just to have confidence. And I think that's why we really strive to make everything that we do, one, very affordable. Like you probably have right now, these foam sheets which are, can be found at the dollar store. I buy a whole pack of these sometimes just because I personally love it. For $1 from the dollar store, you can get at Walmart. These are nothing that we do is ever too hard to obtain or complete. I mean, I think it's great when people say that they aren't artists. Those are my favorite artists. Like, they're my favorite. Because I'm like, no, you have it in you. Even if it comes out ugly, you did it. So, yeah, we kind of want to get started with our class today, our craft, sorry. And this one's going to take a little bit longer than what we did yesterday. But before we get started, we really want to put an emphasis on that we believe making ugly art is important. And, this could even be for our dance instructor that's here, thinking about, like a bad performance could even still be good for students to go through and like physically move their bodies in doing so, right? So it's like just to get yourself out there and do it and practice and not think you're going to be on Broadway, but you might be on TikTok. I don't know. So like, it's just kind of like just having fun with art, just to have fun with it. And just to go through the process of moving, whether it's moving your scissors across the page, the ink across the page, or your body across the dance floor, right? So that's the premise of everything that we believe in here. And like I said yesterday, if someone would like this presentation, we can give this to you as well. So today's craft activity is foam landscapes. Unpuzzling what's puzzling. This has to be, actually, this is something that I developed in quarantine as well. And I kind of just became really into foam because it is at the dollar store. I was like scared I was not going to have any money ever again at one point. And so I would go to the dollar store and just buy supplies as my own little therapy. And so I came across foam, and what I figured what I really loved about foam is just cutting it and cutting it and cutting it. I kind of actually do like the smell, which might be a problem, but like
the feel of it.
The feel, the
Soft
texture,
and
the
tactile.
colors. Yeah, they're so
The way it
bold.
cuts.
Like the way it cuts, there's like a sound and everything. So that's what we're mostly going to explore today, with the outcome being a landscape. So this was my landscape. I'll show you mine. Oh, well, this is Katrina's. We'll go back. Okay, so this one was my landscape that I just came up with. It's just it's kind of like a cut up Coachella Valley mountainscape there. Like that's the 10 freeway down the center, and those are like the dividing mountains, like Desert Hot Springs Mountains, Palm Springs Mountains, and those are just clouds. And all I did was just cut into this as if I'm cutting vegetables, like a really repetitive pattern. So what we're doing is we're taking like a whole piece of paper or a whole piece of foam, cutting it however, making it like a big puzzle, and then putting it all back together in the way that you see fit. So mine's more of like when we said foam landscapes, I don't know how we came up with that term, but we just did. I literally thought of like a landscape and cutting up foam and then piecing it to be a landscape. But what was great is that Katrina came up with something totally different, which is very me and Katrina. Like we make completely different art. Katrina did more like literal shapes. I feel like mine's a little bit more abstract. Katrina did like rectangles and squiggles and circles and squares. So it's really up to you. This is like what mine, let's see if I can even see myself on the screen. That's what's scary when you can't see yourself on the screen. So, mine is, yay big. I think I cut my page in half.
Yeah.
And I have the foam here.
Your sheets are pretty big, so you can go scale if you want, or I went a full scale and I kind of layered. So I have like a back piece. I just like graphic more, and so I was like, I wanted to layer pieces. You can do a layering effect. You can really have fun with it, be intentional with your shapes, or completely therapeutic, or non-thinking and just kind of keep cutting. So you can kind of maybe pick your colorway and go from there, and maybe pick a background color if you like, and then we're just going to be talking and chopping
Okay, so start with the
Yes.
background color, like figure out what your background is.
I would say figure out your background and then
Yeah.
pick a color scheme for your cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was going with my color scheme of pinks, purples, and orange, and then I wanted a pop of red.
Right.
And I wanted that brightness from my yellow to be.
I've been really into like dark hues. Yeah, and those look really good together. It gives me like a 90s
right
kind of vibe.
Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, lately, yeah, very Saved by the Bell, like early Del Taco almost.
Yes.
So like I've been really into like the dark color palette. I'm not in a sad place or anything, but it feels really nice, and it's like a different aesthetic than what I usually do, which is really bright and like kind of obnoxious. So
Thinking, so once you pick your background, do you want to, we should probably spend like what, 10 minutes cutting up shapes, but not assembling, right? Just cutting out shapes and have them on the table.
Exactly. And
yeah, exactly.
You can always cut more. Don't feel shy. You can make something if you want a specific shape later on. It's really up to you.
Okay. And you don't, you know, I was going to say, and you know, we both did like square backdrops, and that's not even a thing. The number one thing we always tell our students is like, feel free to break our rules. This is not for us. You're not going to like turn it in. This is for you. So do whatever you want. If you want to make it a heart, make it a heart. If you want to make it a huge squiggle and then fill it in, you could do that too. This is your world. We're just living in it, you know? So, but definitely you have to start with a base, whatever that is.
Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to set the timer for about 4:10, and so we'll spend the next 10 minutes picking our colors and cutting, and just cut, have fun with cutting. That kind of went away in schools where we really didn't do that fine motor work with kids back when I was in elementary school. So let's have fun with cutting. And I encourage you to mute us or mute yourself and put music on, because that really helps it flow. I almost can't do art without music on.
Right. If you don't mute us, we'll probably do, Katrina and I will do what we usually do, which is chat and see if anyone wants to chat with us. We like to just kind of know like what's going on in the world, what kind of music people are listening to. We like to ask our students what they're listening to, and they're middle school students, and they listen to really fascinating music. So if you have anything you want to randomly share, we're all ears. We're all ears. So I don't know if everyone could see, but I'm doing a squiggle in the spirit of breaking my own rules.
Why don't you unshare screen and then we can see you better.
Oh, sure.
How are you guys liking the feel of the cut? Like, I've never cut something so smooth.
It's soft.
It's very soft and like
it almost seems edible.
Yes.
Yes.
I won't.
Yes.
But,
I know.
for my
a weak moment.
Yeah.
It's like cheese.
Anything bad is edible.
Yeah, my students, I have them take turns choosing a song to play while the kids come into Zoom and, log in. And my only requirement is that it has to be clean lyrics. And at first they complained about that. Well, you can't find any songs, but they're doing really good at it now. Or they have their finger on the mute button ready, or but it's just
nice.
Yeah.
Like a true DJ. Yeah, we let our kids choose the music too sometimes, and we play Spice Girls because we're like, oh, that's so cool, and they let us know that Spice Girls is oldies music, which was news to us.
They said anything 90s is the oldies. I said, excuse me, what did you just say?
I had a student say, oh my gosh, my grandfather has a good friend who was born in the 19th century. And I thought, oh my God, that's that could be 1989.
2000, baby.
So I had my I had my students create like put music requests in for our dance classes, and I was actually very surprised and very proud that I had some students request Queen and AC/DC. So I was very happy.
Get some old souls, some parents
Yes.
that have inspired them.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of their music is, I realize, kind of based off of like TikTok, or we have a lot of students that are really into K-pop, and like they have a whole world around K-pop that I never knew, which is fascinating to know that they're on this like global scale.
Yes.
They're teaching themselves Korean, and they're
Japanese.
They fascinate me. Mm-hmm.
And there's always a dance to go with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what I miss about having the kids in person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to do our crafts in person as well, and it's so we came up with this idea of mailing a craft pack, and we
I can
had
tell you is incredibly time consuming.
Oh, we have 120 girls, and me and Sarah go to town. And it's just, you forget a little dog. Literally behind Sarah is one of our craft packs, and we would forget the little dog. And some girl was like, "I didn't get a dog."
Oh,
shoot! Felt like we needed to drive to her house and give her a dog. But it was so nice to connect with them, because wow, did they need it even more than in person, They felt like they got a super cool package in the mail. They were super excited, and it was really fun to see the engagement and them want to be there, because our class isn't mandatory. It's more of an after school program.
Yeah.
And they founded relationships more and more. We have an all schools day where we bring all of our girls to one class, so 6 schools, and they have gotten numbers, Instagram accounts, phone numbers. So now they're connecting on a deeper level, and it's really fun to see.
That is so great.
Yeah.
A couple of people emailed me after our class yesterday asking more about Lady Lead, and just to give you the backstory as we're working. So I was going to a middle school, and when I got there, I had a teaching artist that was going to be doing a mosaic program, and she was really great at working with young ladies. And the principal said, "I'm so glad you're here." And I said, "Oh, you're really into the arts. That's great. I love it." And she goes, "No, I'm so glad you're here because really traumatic things are happening with their girls. There's so much social pressure. There's so much body image. There's so much constant social media, and it's really a problem." And I said, "Oh," and it was my alma mater, and it was the first that I had heard about that. And I was working K-12 in the arts. And so a few months later, I went to a different school, and I had an author illustrator team that was coming in, and the principal said the same thing to me at that school. "Oh, thank goodness you're here." And that time I was like, uh-oh. And she said, "Yeah, we've had, I believe it was 10 pregnancies so far this year." And it was January. It was January.
In middle school.
In middle school. And so that's when I started thinking about specialized programming and gender-based programming, where you had just girls in the room. And after a couple of years, boys would come up to me, "What do you have for us?" Which led to a second program a couple of years later, Boys Arts Mentoring, which was 5 male artists. So it was the role modeling that happens, and girls tend to enjoy being at a community art table side by side. There's lots of talking and interacting. And then our boys program, a lot more active, loud, noisy, moving, and they move through 5 stations. So both programs still going strong. The engagement is huge, as you can imagine.
And you know what they find? They find joy.
Yeah.
They really find joy. I worked with an SGC class, mild moderate, and I did cooking and art. Like I did an apple project where I brought in apples. We talked all about apples, whatever. Then we did problem solving. We decided what we were going to make with apples. We found a recipe, we made it, and then we did an art project with it, and with it as well. And the kids just really loved it.
I think, joy is definitely going to be a focus for the arts as we come back in, and for all of us, for teachers and the young ones alike. And I love it when I'm doing something with teachers and they're smiling and there's joy. And then we have that to pass on. We have to feed that in ourselves so we can pass it on.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time and it's 4:10. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah and Katrina. So I have just a whole pile of stuff.
Good.
Is this the time we start?
Yes, you can start composing.
Yes.
Like you illustrate yourself, if you want to start with like an angle going down, you can start from top to bottom. I like the layering look, so I'm gonna just kind of layer and try to get some dimensions so it can be more 3D with this cool foam on it.
Do you recommend laying it out and then gluing after you kind of have an arrangement you like?
Yes, I would, because sometimes you got really large pieces, you might need to scale them down. So
okay,
kind of
All right.
find.
Yeah, it's kind of like pizza. It's kind of like a pizza.
Okay. All right. So for the next 10 minutes, let's work on putting our puzzle, our landscape together.
I come from the School of Art, long on enthusiasm, short on talent.
No such thing.
But no, seriously, but they all know that I used to hate it with preschool teachers that had cut out the perfect shapes and stuff. Everybody knew that Mrs. Sandler's Santa may not look the best, but they knew that the kids did it themselves,
Right.
So anyway, that's
to go off of that. I had a very creative dad, and I never got to do my art projects myself. Ever.
You jumped in there.
Everyone knew my art projects were done by my dad. And I was artistic myself. So I was like, wait a minute, I can do it. I swear. He just won't let me.
See, I would have given you a B if I knew your dad did it. Like, if I was the
Yeah, and then
teacher.
I would be like, I looked at all my friends who got to do theirs. I was like, that looks at least a little more fun. I had to sit there and just watch someone create art. Well, I was like, I can do more than glue, Dad. Come on.
I can crochet. That I can do. I'm really good at making baby blankets.
Ooh, so pretty.
That I can do. I'm very left-handed. I don't know how to cut in a straight line, but I try.
That's perfect. That's perfect for ours.
I
types of crafts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's why I like crafts. They're very forgiving.
Right. Me and Sarah had an earring making class one day, and you could tell like our organic shapes give so much more character. To be perfectly cutter is kind of, it loses its character. And you could tell my earrings compared to Sarah's earrings. I like seeing people's character come through and shine through when you're doing crafts.
Yeah. Even down to textures where like everything about our artwork is usually very, very, very different. Which is my favorite part, is seeing the outcome.
Now, nobody will probably guess what this is, but that's okay.
Well, you're going to tell us.
Yes.
No, I'm going to make you. Well, that's why I would always say, "Oh, tell me about your picture," first. Because if I didn't know, if I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But the advantage of being a speech pathologist is that they can draw and then they can tell me all about their picture. So it's therapy,
And I was thinking about our,
and it's fun.
Is it AP English teacher, I think? Yeah. I remember my English teacher would, if she put something creative, I was so excited. And she did. She was artistic, but our English teacher, and it was just a different medium to get your essay across or to relate with your essay, the piece together. It's really
in high school, my AP English teacher said that anything that communicated was English. And so when we did Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, a friend of mine sculpted out of clay the Wife of Bath, and I petty pointed or whatever a pillow of the Pilgrims.
Wow.
My sister drew them, and I did the
cool
the petty point stuff. Yeah.
I usually give my kids like an option after, because they're just writing essays all the time in AP English, and like 20 minutes, like 5 times a week, that's boring. So Like
Mhm.
at the end of the time that we read the book, like I usually give like an artsy project with it. So like sometimes they'll do like character analysis, but instead of writing an essay about it, I'll like have them pair up and one of them will lay on like a piece of chart paper and they'll like draw the character inside. Or like they'll make playlists to go with the book, or they'll like design
Fun.
what they think a character's room looks like
That-
based
Oh,
on the description.
love.
So lots of fun stuff.
Very cool imagination, because when you're reading a book, everyone has their own interpretation, correct? So to put a group
Mhm.
together and get all their ideas, that would be great. I think that's very cool.
That's fun.
Okay, we have about 5 more minutes to put together our mini masterpieces. I use that term loosely.
We'll go around and kind of all get to share, and you can kind of continue to work while we share if you're not the first ones.
Do we have any practicing artists in here?
I feel like Laura showed us some.
I love Laura's line drawings yesterday. They're amazing.
Yeah,
see that mural one of these.
really good. Yeah, the mural would be awesome. Where is the mural?
It's at a place called Turtle Bay Exploration Park. So it was a 9 by 75 foot mural, and I'm known for painting birds. So so I painted local birds, like native birds.
Wow.
How long?
How many birds are?
Right, I got
Like Johnny Carson.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's like 12. And I painted I painted it with 3 of my seniors that graduated last year. So we did it this summer. So it was a good way of saying goodbye to them.
Oh, so fun.
Yeah. But they're still in town because they aren't able to go away to school yet. So
time for another mural.
Well, I'm trying to convince them to join an art show that one of the local businesses is putting on. So I'm creating my work for that show and I'm trying to get them to do it. But they might. So I'm hoping they do.
I do not like that.
I love watching everyone like glue and do this. It's like, it's so fun for me. I'm always like, look at everyone. They're just so busy.
Well, I know one of Sarah's special talents is working with felt. And because I had to order everything from Office Depot, I couldn't get felt this time around. Sorry about that. That's another totally different feeling and soft and interesting to work with.
Yeah. Felt is fun. You know, it just gets very, like, it starts to become very difficult after a while. You really have to have hot glue, which is
That's
just
a whole nother story.
yeah, that's why I have so many burn marks like all over my arms, because you know I talk with my hands a lot. Next thing you know, I'm like burning my skin with the glue gun. But it's all for the art, so somehow that's,
you do it for the art.
Like, yeah, whatever it takes sometimes.
It seems like you could draw on this material with markers or Sharpie, is that right?
Oh yeah, with Sharpies.
Okay.
Yeah, with Sharpies and yeah, I love felt like so much. I mean, foam.
Yeah,
I love foam.
Even with a felt, like a regular ballpoint pen, it's like a really crazy feeling. Like try to write on.
Let's try that right now.
It's very cool. It can't be like a gel pen. I think it has to be like the actual old school, or not old school, more ballpoint.
Yeah, so I'm adding some of the other classes. I think everyone got this kind of pen in the package. So I'm just kind of adding ink now on it just because you guys brought it up. It's kind of nice. It's almost like tattooy.
Yeah.
Almost has like a skin feel.
I also like how the glue doesn't dry right away, so you can kind of manipulate if you didn't put it in.
Yeah, there's room for error, as I like to say. I'm really glad that Staples had foam paper.
Right, I was telling everyone earlier that I sent all the foam out and I had to run out to the store at lunchtime to buy some because they didn't have any left. I'm like, but I want to do this.
They also make good coasters, so
that's true.
As long as it's not too like offsetting, because we don't want your drink to fall. But yeah.
We'll give it another couple minutes. I see people busily working away before we break into the sharing mode. And of course, whether you're working virtually or distance or hybrid, the sharing out of your art is so important. And for students, especially students who are language learners, to have something meaningful to talk about is pretty incredible. And I also think in that social emotional realm, modeling for students and teach them how to give constructive and positive feedback, and not just I like it, but point out something like the way you used your color is really remarkable, or I love the organic shapes, or just giving some structured feedback that's positive to each other. And it's part of the art standards to be able to respond to artwork and to critique. So that's definitely it's like the debrief. You don't just leave it hanging there. You kind of process it with the students. Well, let's see, I have my list of everybody. I'm gonna start calling on you, and please show us where you are up to this point, just because we only have about 8 minutes left. And just share with us one thing about it that was really successful for you that you liked. So let's start with Carolina, please.
Okay, well, I kind of have a fascination with negative space, so I just went with negative space.
Ooh, love it.
Love it.
Started with this one because I just like the brown on the orange, and then I took those and then I was trying to decide how I would like them to go together. So that was kind of how I did it.
Those are great.
It was really fun cutting, and anyway, but what's interesting is this one, the brown, this has the orange. Doesn't it look like it has so much more space around each piece?
Yes.
Whereas the orange here is like closed in, and I think it's just the dark versus the light. Anyway, so
interesting.
Love your approach. I love your approach.
Laura.
I love orange and brown.
No, I love that too. I wouldn't have thought of that. Laura, do you have something to share with us?
Yeah, so like I said last time, I'm a swimmer, and this is the lake that I swim at.
Thank goodness.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Do we have the same time?
That's is that what you guys whip up?
So, every time I swim when the sun sets. So this is the what I see, the scene. And I like the way that you can layer with this. It's really cool. And then the negative shapes that Carolina was saying, I was like stuffing things underneath them.
Oh, very cool.
So great.
That looks fantastic.
Thank you.
Nicole.
Did she freeze? Maybe?
Yeah, I think she froze.
I think she froze.
Oh, yeah.
Checking back in.
Okay.
Mhm.
So while we're waiting for Nicole, how about Terry?
How about Terry?
Yes, Terry.
That is it,
Yes,
okay.
you. Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm unmuted. All right. I live near like the
Mhm.
mountains. Wrightwood is 15 minutes from me.
Mhm.
I had to do something that had a little
Oh, how
it's
fun.
falling.
Love that.
Okay.
I like all the
Anyway,
little pieces.
has a little bit of a mountain kind of rivery feel.
Yes, I like your
Mhm.
water.
Oh, I love it.
That's
Me too.
if I get back, you can see it kind of.
Yes. Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
It's interesting too how Laura and Terry did actual landscapes.
Yep.
And then Carolina's was, completely abstract. Yeah, really
Yeah.
how different people interpret.
Mhm.
Kim, do you have something to share with us?
I do.
Awesome.
Since I was staring at Morrill Rock for the last 10 days,
Mhm.
I did
Wow.
something that
I love
that
that.
trip, including the otter. There was mama and baby
So
otter.
cute.
There were a lot of them, so
I live in Baywood Park, which is about 10 minutes from Morrill Rock.
oh nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we have some friends that live there.
That's a
So,
great landscape, Kim.
fabulous. Yeah, this was fun. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Oh, good. Bridget.
Can I share my screen? Because I can't have pictures.
Sure. Oh, let's see. Hold on.
I didn't follow the directions.
Now I'm intrigued. Okay, hold on.
So am I.
Okay.
Wow.
So I'm actually, our lesson this week is, our unit is on cardboard relief. And so we're kind of doing a lot of stuff like this. So the layering and stuff. So with cardboard, this was really fun for me to be on this end of it. Just like playing around with it because I'm, teaching cardboard relief right now. So, but the windmills, I really took those ideas from the beginning. So we talked about mountain windmills, and I am somebody who can't come up with ideas when people are around. I need a lot of quiet time. So I will think of what I should have done this after, while I'm laying in bed tonight. But yeah.
You have more fun for tomorrow.
So, yeah, yes, in the middle of the night. Thank you.
Okay, Chelsea.
Okay, so I went the literal route and made a beach landscape because I was supposed to be in Hawaii next month. No longer happening. So here's my little bit of paradise.
Oh, that's fun. I especially like the sun. Well done. I like the sun. Eileen.
This is my concrete happy place. My kindergarten special.
Oh, so cute. Oh, you got fishes in there too, in a wave?
I do. I have my wave and my sand and my sun.
Loving it.
And it's my happy face. This is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, fun. I see how differently people handle the sun. We have the
Yes,
strokes
I like
and
the
Chelsea's
layer.
and then the
So you got
circle.
that layer. Mhm.
Yeah, that's great. Tiffany.
Ooh.
Oh.
And we got some pen on those white spots, yes?
So I just used a rubber stamp. I stamped the same image a few times and then cut that out.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, I was gonna try to I just ran out of time, but I was trying to do a shape in the hand that would like pop out because I think you can just staple on this too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have more time after you're done with us. You only have 1 more minute, but you can keep going. So excellent. All right, we got to go quick. Diane.
All right. Well, in honor of Hawaii, sorry, Chelsea. As far as I know, I'm going.
I know. Ooh.
So this is this is a volcano spewing out lava over the mountains.
Love it.
And the river of lava coming. Well, it's hard to do this backwards and see what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
so creative.
Cool.
Great
Thank you
interpretation.
for sharing. Aldo.
I think you're still on mute.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Let's see if the glue sticks. Did more of an abstract of kind of like a forest and sunsets.
Very nice.
Oh, I like that.
That's
yeah.
very abstract. So I
I
was
like
just
the
cutting
skin.
random shapes, and then I tried to find like some sort of landscape and design with the shapes. Very abstract.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
I like
a
that.
strong
That's how I
shape,
do it
strong colors.
too. Mm-hmm.
All right, last but not least, I believe is Rachel.
So I did the beach, well, waves also, just because San Diego is a super close place to my heart. I went to college in San Diego, met my husband there, like he proposed there, like it's a whole thing. So this is my sad little snow globe of San Diego. And
That's great.
yeah.
I love the shape, full shapes.
Oh, well done, everybody. Well, it was such a treat to be with you all for this hour this afternoon. What a lovely group and what great you did. And I hope you use the rest of the foam and have fun with it and consider doing it with your students. But if not, keep it for you and enjoy it. And if you're signed up for the third class, we'll see you then. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Katrina and Sarah.
Thank you
very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
You guys did great.
Thank you.
Bye.